what time it is. It's time for KP in the news.
That's right, it's time for KP's News. Here we go. Police in Alabama set up a falsely and arrested over 1,000 innocent black men. I did an article on this a little while back. But Dothan, Alabama, 12 police officers in Dothan, Alabama were apparently members of a domestic hate group, have been found to set up and falsely accuse over 1,000 black men with the intention to put them behind bars even though they were innocent. According to reports, a narcotic team consisting of at least 12 white police officers supervised by Lieutenant Steve Parrish, who is now Dothan's police chief, and Andy Hughes, Assistant Director of Homeland Security for Alabama, regularly planted drugs and weapons on innocent black men. Once arrested and charged, the wrongly accused black men were not given due process. District Attorney Doug Valeska, who prosecuted in those cases, was apparently aware of the scam and offered protection for the involved officers instead. More than 1,000 innocent black men were falsely prosecuted, and most of them are still serving their sentences. Over the years, the families of the wrongly convicted black men were calling for justice, but as it has always been ignored, it was only until a group of conscientious white police officers noticed the cases and alerted the Internal Affairs Division that a full investigation ensued. Authorities confirm that an investigation on the cases are currently ongoing, and the special prosecutor from outside of Alabama is handling the case. So let's see, what we're going to get out of that. So, Black Panther Fred Hampton was killed 50 years ago in a Chicago police raid. Dozens of people gathered today in a location where Chicago police raided a West Side 2-flat 50 years ago, shooting and killing Black Panther Party leaders Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. It's very, very important to commemorate their lives and let people know that's not just something that happened back then, and it's the end of it. Hampton's then fiance, who was in the bedroom when the police raid happened on December 4th, 1969, people are still being murdered in the wrong houses that are so-called raided by police. Najeri was 8.5 months pregnant when officers busted into the 2-flat at 2337 West Monroe Street, killing Hampton and Mark Clark and injuring 4 others. She remembers the moment police busted into the bedroom as well. Chairman looked up from the bed. He moved back really slow. He never moved out of the bed and laid his head down slow. I left that room with no blood on my clothing, which indicates he had not been shot while I was in the room, she said. Najeri, known as Deborah Johnson at the time, said she got out of bed with her hands up, continually thinking the police would kill her if she stumbled or fell. I kept telling myself, don't stumble, don't fall, don't stumble, don't fall. She recalled she said she never looked back at the bedroom but saw Clark dead on the floor. She said she thought about the Panthers' 10-point plan to keep her calm. Since then, some have called it the massacre on Monroe Street. In fact, Najeri used those very words Wednesday when she talked to dozens of people who gathered on Monroe Street. A new building has been built on the lot, but the location still holds significance to many Black Panthers, even those who traveled from out of state to be there. I remember what Fred said, you have to keep the revolution alive, you have to keep struggling, recalled Joan McCarthy, an original Black Panther member in Chicago. McCarthy is now a professor at Spelman College, and she teaches the next generation about the movement and what happened the day of the raid. That's one of my contributions. The deadly raid served as a turning point as well. It took years to uncover government motives and their efforts to silence the Black Panther movement. Decades later, the federal government, Cook County, and the city of Chicago paid $1.8 million settlement to Clark and Hampton's families along with the survivors. The two families held a 5-minute moment of silence Wednesday, but they will not be silenced as they continue to speak about the deadly raid and today's issues as well. The deaths, the assassinations continue. The police assault on the black community is horrendous. Along with family members, there are also Black Panthers who survived the police raid, including Blair Anderson. He credits Clark for saving his life. The reason I wasn't killed because there were multiple bullets shot through my bed was because Mark stood at the door and slowed them down long enough. Another Black Panther member, Bradley Green, noted that Wednesday's gathering made him feel more determined and motivated. What Fred used to say is, the beat goes on and it goes on, he said. In fact, Fred Hampton Jr. now leads the Black Panther Party Cubs. He is also a consultant for an upcoming movie about his dad's life. It's still a battle to make sure his legacy stays intact, Hampton Jr. said, but this is as close as we've come on a project on Chairman Fred. The untitled movie is expected to come out in 2020. The jury still sees it as a call to action even 50 years later. The more you do, the more you want to do, she said. The more needs to be done and the more you'll join in. 50 years ago, Black Panther, Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were killed by Chicago police in a pre-dawn raid. So we have a 16-year-old pilot who doesn't even have her driver's license yet. Cleveland, Ohio. At the age of 16, Sydney Marie Flower from Cleveland is already set to be a licensed pilot this year. She already has a student pilot certificate, and she doesn't even have her driver's license yet. After attending a local aviation camp where she was recognized as a top student, she was chosen to be one of the attendees in the U.S. Air Force sponsored national camp at Tuskegee, Alabama. They only picked 20 students out of the whole entire country, Flowers told the news media. I felt just that it was a real accomplishment for me and also a privilege to step on the same field as the Tuskegee Airmen stepped on. Most recently, she embarked on her first solo flight in the historic field at Tuskegee. She admitted that the training was hard and that she encountered challenges on her last landing, but she still nailed it. I'm extremely proud of my daughter. She made goals, and she's pretty much aced every goal, said her mother, Marie. And Flowers will join a small group of black women pilots wherein only 4.4% of airline transport pilots are women and only 2.7% are black, according to the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration. So, drum roll. Sydney Marie Flowers, 16-year-old airline pilot. Well, she's not an airline pilot yet. She's just a licensed private pilot, and she's flying those little Laurie Pipers and those little small planes, little small prop planes there. But 16 years old, she's doing something positive. You gotta root for that and say, hey, it's a good thing. All right, it's a good thing.